Ever feel like you're being watched in your own home? Tonight, you'll find out why. These are 4 true horror stories where people thought they were safe, but safety is an illusion. Hit like, subscribe, and drop where you're watching from. I might feature your city next. Now, let's begin. My name's Nate Russo. Last fall, I moved into a run-down apartment complex called Crowley Court in Philadelphia. It was the kind of place you picked when you either didn't have options or didn't care anymore. For me, it was both. The building was old, peeling paint, a flickering sign out front, and hallways that always smelled vaguely of bleach and something sour. But it was cheap, and the landlord, a pudgy, sweaty man named Roy, didn't ask too many questions. The other tenants kept to themselves, except for this one guy from Unit 5C. Thin, graying hair, maybe in his 50s, always wore a faded army jacket no matter the weather. I'd catch him watching people through his peephole or lingering in the laundry room long after his clothes were done. Everyone just called him Holloway. About 3 weeks after I moved in, I started hearing knocking on my door around 3:15 a.m. Not hard knocking, but this slow, deliberate tap, tap, tap. The first time, I brushed it off. The second time, I opened the door, but found nobody there. The third night, I looked through the peephole and saw Holloway standing right up against the door, head tilted, staring into the peephole like he could see me through it. I called out, "Can I help you?" He didn't move, didn't blink, just muttered something I couldn't hear and shuffled away. I went to Roy the next morning and complained. Roy went pale. "That's not funny," he said. "What isn't?" "Son, Holloway died last December. Heart attack. I was the one who found him in Unit 5C. I told him what I saw, and he practically begged me not to tell anyone else. Said people get jumpy in this place. I went back to my room and Googled Crowley Court, Unit 5C. There was one hit, an article about a disgraced doctor named Victor Holloway, a man who'd been accused of covering up patient deaths in the 90s before disappearing off the grid. That night, I decided to leave. As I packed my bags, the tapping started again. I looked out the peephole. Empty hallway. When I opened the door, there was a cardboard box on my doormat. Inside, dozens of old patient ID bracelets and a photograph. It was me, but the photo was dated 1998, and in the background was Holloway. I wasn't supposed to be here. None of this made sense. The hallway light flickered. Behind me, a voice croaked. "I told you, Nate. You can't leave yet." My name's Riley Marsh, and about 6 months ago, my fiancé and I bought a fixer-upper house just outside of Portland, Oregon. It was a steal. Big yard, 4 bedrooms, classic craftsman layout, the kind of place you imagine raising a family in. Except there was one weird thing. A sealed storm drain in the backyard. Not the kind that connects to the city system, but this ancient, rusted thing built into the ground near a dying oak tree. We joked it was where the ghost girl lived. Until one night, I heard knocking coming from inside it. It happened again the next night. This time it wasn't knocking. It was a whisper. Really soft. Childlike. I bolted outside with a flashlight. The drain cover was still sealed, rusted shut. No way anything alive could fit down there. I called the city the next day, asked them to come check it out. The worker, a grizzled old guy, showed up, took one look, and his face went dead serious. "You should leave this one alone," he muttered, getting in his truck without another word. That night, the whisper came back, louder. I went digging through the basement for old house records. Found a mildewed box labeled 1923. Inside were faded photos of the house. One in particular showed a little girl standing next to the drain. Her eyes were pitch black. Another photo showed a newspaper clipping. 7-year-old Clara Winslow, missing from Pine Street residence, presumed dead. Same house, same backyard. It happened 102 years ago. I was ready to cover the drain with concrete the next morning. But when I went outside, the cover was already gone. In its place was a hole, and deep within it, 2 small muddy footprints leading away from the opening. I followed them. They led to the back door, which was wide open. Inside, I found a muddy handprint on the mirror in the hallway. And beneath it, written in dirt, "Welcome back, Daddy." I don't have kids. I never did. I'm Evan Cruz, 27, moved to Seattle for a new job last fall. Found this great old townhouse in Capitol Hill, one of those restored Victorian places, creaky floors, stained glass windows. The rent was brutal though, so I posted a roommate ad. A girl named Jessa messaged me, mid-20s, quiet, worked night shifts at a nearby hospital. She came by to tour the place, super polite, little shy. Everything checked out. She moved in that weekend. The first few nights were normal. Until I realized something was off. Jessa barely spoke. She had these weird house rules. Rule 1, never knock on her door, especially after 2 a.m. Rule 2, if you hear footsteps in the attic, don't go up there. Rule 3, if you wake up to humming, stay in bed. I thought it was a joke. Until one night, around 2:30 a.m., I woke up to the sound of soft humming. A childish, eerie tune coming from the hallway. I should have stayed in bed, but I got up. The humming stopped the moment I stepped into the hallway. Jessa's door was wide open, but she wasn't inside. The humming was coming from the attic. Against every instinct I had, I grabbed a flashlight and climbed the ladder. The attic was empty, except for a single old crib in the center of the room. Inside it, a cracked porcelain doll with a tiny speaker next to it, endlessly looping the same humming tune. Then the attic hatch slammed shut behind me. I tried forcing the attic door open, yelling for Jessa. No answer. That's when I spotted something in the corner. A framed photograph on the floor. Old. Faded. It showed a woman identical to Jessa, from 1923. On the back it read, Jessa May Cartwright, died 1924. My stomach dropped. A moment later, the humming speaker shut off, and behind me, a voice whispered, "You broke the rules." I woke up the next morning in my bed like nothing happened. But Jessa's room? Empty. No sign she'd ever been there. The lease paperwork? Gone. My name's Alicia Porter. I moved to Portland last winter after a nasty breakup, renting a cheap but decent studio in a 3-story apartment building from the 70s. The place was half empty. People came and went a lot, except for Unit 306. It had been vacant since I moved in. Lights never on. Blinds always shut. But every night, without fail, at exactly 3:15 a.m., I'd hear something heavy dragging across the floor above me, like furniture being pushed. Back and forth, but no one ever moved in. After a week of this, I complained to the landlord. He looked confused, said 306 was empty, had been for over a year. I asked if maintenance might be up there, but he shook his head. That night, the dragging sound came back, even louder. I pounded on the ceiling with a broom. The noise stopped. A few minutes later, I heard 3 slow, deliberate knocks on my door. I looked through the peephole. No one there, except a note on the floor. Do not disturb the tenant in 306. I couldn't take it anymore. The next night, armed with my phone's flashlight, I went upstairs. Unit 306's door was unlocked. Inside, it was pitch black. No furniture, no belongings, but the floorboards were deeply scraped in long, parallel lines, crisscrossing the room. In the far corner, I saw what looked like an old metal hospital gurney. I stepped closer. A single handprint smeared in dust across the gurney's surface. Then the dragging sound started again. Right behind me, I spun around. There was a figure in the corner, skin pale and papery, eyes too big for its face, grinning. I couldn't move. It whispered, "You woke me up." I bolted, slamming the door behind me. The next morning, I told the landlord everything. He looked at me like I was insane, then said, "I'm sorry. No one's lived in 306 since the fire. Tenant died in '84. We sealed it years ago." I went back upstairs. The door was sealed shut with rusted chains. I'd been in there the night before, and it wasn't empty. And those were the stories. Tell me, which one messed with your head the most? Drop your hometown in the comments, because next time, it might happen there. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Until next time, stay safe and stay paranoid.